people forget so fast. People forget so fast. Even events as recent as June 25th, which my brother is talking about here now. And now Sifuna has become the bad person. Now I've become a bad person because of non-existent bills that I supported Ndengu farmers being imprisoned. Yet it is not true. There is a majority of the young people, by the way, on social media, and those who supported this movement, they know who we are. They know who I am, So it's just a few guys there who just like to make noise every day. And I think, power is a very powerful drug, Ali. I've told these kids, power is more powerful than any drug you are doing. It's more powerful than any flavor of shisha in Nairobi. Because the minute you have discovered that you have a power to fire a cabinet, the minute you have discovered that you can say tomorrow kuna maandamano and the entire CBD is closed, it is very powerful. You feel very powerful. Well, IBC themselves refuse because they say the elections, by the time you're running primaries, they're also preparing for the general elections.
Okay.
Number two, the money that they will demand from you, my friend, we don't have that sort of money. To run a proper primary. I have done the math. We need anywhere close. If I am going to run, party primaries in all of the 290 constituencies, I need maybe 2 billion Kenyan shillings. I don't have that money.
Now, when you talk about the Gen Zs and political action, taking political action, so we have a situation where we've not had IBC constituted since the debacle of the last election, and there's a process to reconstitute it. So at the moment, there's still an open space. Like even these Gen Zs who are organizing, they're still having trouble getting ID cards. They're still having trouble, we don't know. We know the process has started. We don't know approximately how long it's gonna be until when a new IBC is reconstituted. And even out here in the diaspora, we actually in a darker place than even where Gen Zs are, because we don't have continuous registration, and there's a lot of issues. Like IBC would typically surprise us. They would tell us like what happened in the last election. They told us like 3 weeks before that, we are coming there within 3 weeks and we're gonna be there only within a 1 week span. You've traveled from Seattle, Washington. Imagine someone is expected to travel from Seattle, Washington to either LA or to DC to come and register to vote, and then they have to do the same thing again to register, and then they have to travel again to come back and vote. So there are these issues that I think we've had them talked about a lot, but a lot of people are not seeing movement. Like for example, this IBC issue, approximately when do we expect to have an IBC constituted so that people can start creating these political formations? Senator.
So I think by the end of September, in my own estimation, we should have the process coming to its tail end, because we already passed the law that came from NADCO on reconstitution of IBC, and there was all the organizations that are required to present names for representatives had done so. There was a dispute on the representative by the political parties liaison committee, PPLC, and I am hoping that issue will be resolved, because we are ready to go. There are many things that are not happening because of that, but as you said, getting of IDs is a process in Kenya that is ongoing. Registration for voters, because the secretariat of the IBC is still there, is ongoing. What we are not able to do are by-elections. Like now I have 10 by-elections, 7 in the county wards, and 3 members of parliament, including the most recent one in Ugunja, that was caused by the appointment of Honorable, what's his name, the MP for Ugunja.
The MP for Unguja,
the CS for Energy now, Opiyo Wandayi.
Opiyo Wandayi, yeah.
So there are those 3 by-elections. But I have interacted with this issue. I was told the same in Houston. I was told the same in Seattle, that in fact registration here does not happen continuously. And every time the issue of diaspora voting and involvement of diaspora in civic activity is raised, there's always the question of budget and resources, that then the IBC claims that they are never given money in time and in sufficient quantity for them to be able to do the things that are required to be done. Suggestions have been made because you live in the US and you've seen how registration of voters here happens. You are given your driving license, you are registered. You're registered as a voter. There is no reason why it doesn't happen in Kenya other than just bad manners. There is no other explanation, by the way. There are people who feel threatened by the fact that you can have automatic voter registration. People want to control the numbers that are on the register. And you can see some of the complaints that are coming from young people about the frustration of obtaining IDs. They are just games that are played in Kenya. We have seen the mail-in ballots in the US. There is no reason why Kenyans in diaspora can't mail in their ballots to DC or to wherever it is, even to Nairobi.
Yeah. People used to do that to get passports. People used to mail in passports.
That's what I'm telling you. There is no reasonable explanation as to why it doesn't happen other than just our own bad manners. Kenya is a society that we need to have a conversation generally about our ethos, about the things that we believe in, about the things that are important to us. We have never had that conversation as a country because there are things that happen there and it doesn't make any sense to anyone anywhere else. It's like we have agreed to first identify what makes sense, then we all agree now that's not what we're going to do, you know? So we need to change our society, we need to change the leadership of this country, we need to have leaders who have different styles of doing things. We need to encourage the I don't know how I can say it, the emergence of new leaders. And this is why personally, if you ask me, I'm very happy and I really pray that this movement does not dissipate. I want these young people to join politics. I want them to join leadership. I want them to paint a picture of a better country for all of us and do some of the things that they have told us they want to see being done. The first place to liberate, by the way, is Parliament. Because all of these policies, all of these problems you're having, like, why would you have only one officer in the consulate in New York or down there in LA, knowing that they serve millions of Kenyans? There are people, even in Texas, the numbers of Kenyans are so many. There is no reason why there's no access to consular services in those areas. But it requires resources. So who is the person who has the control of a pass? Just like here, the control of the passes with Congress. Even in Kenya, the people who allocate resources for all these organizations and to release the money is Parliament. So I am hoping we will have 204, if not more, young people coming to Parliament, people who have abided by, like somebody talked about Article 73 of the Constitution. Article 73 of the Constitution sets guidelines for leadership. And there are 3 guidelines. You have to be credible, you have to be suitable, and you have to be competent. You know? So when we discuss competence, even in electoral politics, unakuta mtu mwenye clearly hawezi kufanya hiyo kazi anaingizwa. So what anaingianga aje?
But Sasa Senator, you know, when you tell us and you're in the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the difficulty that we have. So there's people out there, of course, who want to get into leadership.
Yes.
But there's a majority of people who just want to go about their business.
But this is what I'm telling. This is why I'm telling them.
Yeah.
If the youth movement has shown us anything, is that the power is with you.
Yeah.
It is not for you to look for politicians to help you to do this. The young kids have shown you that they actually have the power.
Yes. So this is 1 second, Mika.
Yeah.
This is a turning point. You know, like whatever we experienced on June 25th was a turning point.
Yes.
You know, like in Kenya's history, it has not been tested on the ballot yet. You know, because we've not had any elections.
That's why we are saying we need to channel this energy into political action. And it is not just about June 25th. The entire movement, the entire mobilization, the awareness of the issues, the sort of support that they gave to each other to ensure that they succeeded, it is the same when it comes to political mobilization.
Yes.
If it can be directed to that, I am telling you, Parliament will change.
Yes. But my issue here is when we look at ODM, for example,
yes,
as a party, you know, because we discussed this, we have people who've tried to run for office, you know, like via the ODM party from here in the diaspora, from back home. We actually have, you know, like some people here in the comments who've been doing it. And some of them, because they're within the party structure, they might not want to talk about it publicly. It is very, very difficult. And especially when there's lack of clarity on whether a direct certificate is going to be issued or whether it's going to be an open process. And I understand the difficulty that political parties have in running nominations, because IBC itself, a body that's tasked with doing elections, has their own difficulties. So we always see these problems during nominations, and some of these nominations, they're actually like mini general elections, and that's where people get disenfranchised when you know how much it costs to run a campaign in Kenya. You know how much it costs to, just put a team together to be able to do that. So these younger people who are trying to get into office, I've seen some of the numbers quoted. Of course, I don't have facts, but I've been on the ground campaigning, and I see how much money is sometimes thrown around during the campaigns, and it's extremely difficult for a person who's qualified to try to become a governor, for example, or to try to become a member of parliament. We also have women representatives. Like there's certain people who the party, for one reason or another, may have a certain preference for. And I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a very solid example because that's my area in Mombasa County. And I'm gonna say this because these are people I know. Shahbal was going to win that election, but then something happened within the Azimio structure, and he was asked to step aside. And a lot of people in Mombasa are still very bitter, about this. And we see these things happening across the board in different constituencies, in different counties. So you also have to understand from our side, when people want to come, the risk of going in and losing everything you have. Watwa Diaspora, I have a long list of Watwa Meenda, Wakaoshwa. We have a couple of other ones I don't want to mention here, who are in Kenya. We wish them well.
I know them. I know them. See, they come and they find me there. So let me explain something to you.
Yes.
First of all, I disagree with you when you say that it is very difficult, that it is very expensive. If the young people have taught us anything, is that political organization can be done differently. Not in just the traditional ways that we used to do it. Ali, before I plan a meeting of 100,000 people, that is weeks of planning. These guys are pulling crowds of upwards of 200,000 people on a single space. What are you talking about? Things have changed. And it is just about your dedication. Number two, I tell everyone who wants to get into politics, I'm not an expert, but I am in that business now. There is nothing in life you will start with guarantees from the beginning. If you want me to tell you, now you're going to run in Kasarani constituency, I guarantee you in 2027 I will give you a direct ticket, I'm lying to you. Can I be honest with you and tell you that when you join a political party is a club. A club is run by rules. There are rules there. When you become a member of ODM, you have subscribed to the rules of the game. We have said in the party that there are 4 methods of nomination. It could be a direct ticket, it could be universal suffrage, it could be a decision of the delegates, it could be any other method. You understand? So when you sign up to be a member of ODM, you know what you're signing up to. That's why all these documents are public. Number two, a party is like a baby. It has to be nurtured every single day. You have to be present to feed it, to clean it, to support it to grow, and to teach it. You don't parachute in from Washington, D.C., 2 months to the election and you expect to be given a direct ticket. Who are you? We don't know you. The people down there on the grounds do not know you. The reason why I, as SG of ODM, can take one letter during the finance bill and write a letter to all members of parliament to be present in the house is because I know who those people are. Now, if you don't know us, we don't know you, what chances do you have of becoming a member of parliament on a certain political party? It is impossible. Thirdly, Ali, I have seen people beat ODM. People have beat ODM. An example of Mombasa in 2017, Muhammad Ali was denied the ticket. Wakapatia Saido. So he beat Saido.
He beat Saido.
So what I want to encourage people, let's stop making excuses. We as politicians are not perfect. Our political organizations are not perfect. ODM is not perfect. We give it a shot. Let me tell you, like last election, we made it clear that there would be direct tickets. And we explained how those direct tickets would be handed over. They would be backed by a science. We will do regular, over a long period of time, polling by an independent pollster to give us an idea of who is ahead and who is not. Where the polls are closed, Ali, we will allow those people to go to the ballot. Now, the problem with politics, and especially if you are a member of diaspora, politics requires presence. And that is the physical distance between you and the ground. It gives you a disadvantage, because by the time you're coming, there's always events that are happening, even in your village today, Omwami. There are events that are happening, and the political leadership is there. So people want to see you involved in activities, right. And it's just difficult for you to do from Seattle or from Washington, D.C. You understand? So I appreciate that they start off with a disadvantage. But I'm telling you this. If you are present on the ground and people know you, do you know, like sometimes the way the party makes decisions, the party can be forced to give somebody a ticket. And I saw it in Kisii with Simba Arati.
Yeah.
When the party leader goes there and all these guys are there and they have told us that hapa ni mzee ongeri ndio kusema, then when you go to the ground itself, you kuta that Simba has gone with the crowd. You have no choice, because at the end of the day, the party wants to win elections. Let me address one final thing about the polling that we do. Ali, of all the direct tickets we gave in 2022, no one lost. None of those people lost. What does that tell you? That our science was on the money. Because we don't want to fabricate polls, give somebody you prefer, and then he loses the election. And something else I will admit. Because political parties are organizations and they are clubs, there are people who contribute their time, their resources to the political party. You can see that they believe in the ideology of the party, and they have pushed so much to make the party popular. You can see he's helping us win civic seats and even constituency seats as a gubernatorial candidate. The decision that is made is very simple. We would rather lose with somebody who believes in us than somebody who doesn't believe in us but is popular, and then after the election, these are the same guys who ruka you immediately, because they'll come there and tell you, oh, they have no idea what the party is about. So I am prepared as SG to lose an election fairly if I am fighting for somebody who has fought for the party and I've given him an opportunity. Yeah? Because that is a party loyalist. That is a party loyalist.
Okay, I think what would be important, and we have another call, and before we're gonna, Mika had something to say. Oh, we have, okay. Yeah, so Mika had something to add, but one other thing that I will say, it will be important, because
yes,
perception on the ground, you know, I mean, of course, I know there's the facts and the perception. It's very important, because people make decisions on perceptions at the end of the day, especially when you're trying to win an election. It is important to make it clear that these 10, 20, or 30 constituencies, we are gonna be doing a direct nomination.
I as SG of ODM, I said from the beginning that every single constituency that has a woman as an incumbent, we will give those women direct tickets, because we are trying to build the number of women in politics, in parliament. So you come from Rangwe, where Lillian Gogo is a member of parliament. Then you come and tell me you want nominations. For how? When you're a man. Hata kama ni nominations nitafanya between women. But there is no way I'm reducing the number of women in Bunge.
So let me ask you, so in these constituencies where there's an advance, you know, like a direct nomination given, so is it that, is it communicated that there will be no nominations done in this constituency?
Yes, I am telling you, I did it as SG. We said it. Every single constituency with a woman, we will not have men taking over those constituencies.
Okay.
Number two, because the polling is done over a long period of time, it is impossible for you to predict that in Langata we will give a direct ticket, because the science is done over a long period of time, and sometimes you see there are certain constituencies that are so close. So close. How do I announce that there's not going to be primaries, and yet the science is showing me that it is close? In fact, the direct tickets were given, other than for the women. The direct tickets, I am a beneficiary of the direct ticket. So maybe you will say I'm biased, but I am not. And I have lost with a direct ticket in 2017, and I won with a direct ticket in 2022. So there is no distinct advantage sometimes from these things, especially where the science does not support that direct ticket. So it is observed over a long period of time. And by the way, if you look at the election rules of ODM, they give power to the local party. Like now, if the party in Migori, we have county coordinating committees and even constituency coordinating committees, they can sit down and agree that, yes, here we want to do this. I'll give you an example of a very painful decision that the party made because of trying to achieve some of the things that I'm telling you. It was a desire for us as ODM to also have a woman governor in the last election. So when John Mbadi wanted to be governor of Homa Bay, he was prevailed upon by the party that let's allow Gladys, who they were, by the way, they were polling at 50-50. They were almost the same. And Mbadi, who was the chairman of the party, of course, his position was that I wish you would let me just go to the primaries and lose, you know. But he was prevailed upon to do what? To leave that seat for Gladys, and Gladys won. In Busia, it was totally different. My own deputy, the deputy secretary general of ODM at that particular time was Florence Mutua. She was the chair of finance. She was the current women rep of Busia. She was allowed to go to the primaries with Governor Otuoma. And Governor Otuoma beat her at the party primaries.
Yeah.
So it is usually a balance. You cannot announce like right now, at Funyula, there will be no elections in primaries in 2027 because politics is very dynamic. But we do communicate.
Now, how soon?
Now,
you know, like,
lastly,
is it like a month before, like 2 months before?
Lastly, there is a question of coalitions, you know. So you can get into a coalition like in 2022. The decisions on coalitions is left very late because of the dynamic nature of politics. And then you find you have been tied to the hip with Wiper, and then they tell you, oh, you are not going to run candidates in Embakasi South. Sayo, you have your candidate who has been running up and down for the past 4 years. And that decision is made, and it is a painful decision to make. So I would be lying to you, Ali, if I can sit here and tell you that I can tell you with specificity of all the seats that are going to be contested in the next election, that I know which ones are going to have direct tickets and the ones that are not going to have direct tickets, because the dynamics are just too many.
All right, you're tuned into the One Mic Show. Of course, the number to call is 2026834570 *5 to speak. We have Senator Sifuna in studio. I'm going to come back to reading your comments. You know, I know we've neglected them for a little. Mika has something he wants to say, and then we're going to come to the callers. Please be patient. Mika.
Yeah, thank you. He answered most of my questions in the conversation he just had right now. But I think what I want to ask is this. So, Senator Sifuna, you have said that one of your plans for the next election is you want to get those 204.
No, my target is 150. 204 near Gen Z.
Oh yeah, like for you is basically make sure that ODM is the strongest party in parliament. Yes. That's usually the target, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I think there is a change. There's a wind of change that's blowing right now. Maybe it's too early for you to say what's happening or what's not happening, but there's definitely there's a wind of change. What can we expect for you from ODM as a party? And then in regards to how we've seen things coming in the past 3 years, we can compare the two mandamanos that we had when you guys were doing reggae Mondays, and then with this one with the Jay-Z's, and we see the outcomes of the NADCO conversation, and then the outcome of how we've had some people of your party going into the national government. How are we seeing for something that will make the party not lose much ground to the people? Right now, as you've said yourself, a lot of people are saying that you're on shaky waters. A lot of people's perception people have looked for an enemy. And unfortunately, the enemy right now is ODM. That's the person with the big mark right now. How do you ensure that the party walks out of this cleanly? And how do you ensure that the party maintains the favor that it has enjoyed, for it being the oldest I think I would say, people would say Kano, but I say ODM is the longest running single party in the country, and also the most populous party in the country.
Yeah, so there is no magic to these things. You have to put in the work. You can expect that as SG, I will put in the work. The work that I have always put in, I will continue to put in. As I told you, I have 10 by-elections. I'm going to try and run candidates in all those by-elections. Of course, Ugunja is held by ODM. The one from Kilifi is run also by ODM, and Banisa was not ours. But we will try and run candidates in all of those. There is no substitute to hard work. And I understand, you yourself have said it, that people have found a scapegoat in ODM, but it is something that we have gone through in the entire existence of a party. We have always been blamed. And so our responsibility as leaders is to explain ourselves, is to explain ourselves that at the end of the day, the goodness or badness of somebody will be exposed over time. It's not something I can sit here and tell you that I'm a good person. You will observe it all through. Whenever it is things are happening. At the end of the day, Ali, when the young people needed people to stand with them in Bunge. 73, actually there were how many? 73 out of the 86 members of ODM in the National Assembly voted with the people. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, you have an organization where you can petition one official. The way they petitioned me on social media to make sure that all members were present, they actually told me that absence from the floor this time around would be compared to betrayal.
Yeah.
And 86 out of 86 members of parliament showed up.
Present, yeah.
So the people forget so fast. People forget so fast. Even events as recent as June 25th, which my brother is talking about here now. And now Sifuna has become the bad person. Now I've become a bad person because of non-existent bills that I supported Ndengu farmers being imprisoned. Yet it is not true. There is a majority of the young people, by the way, on social media, and those who supported this movement, they know who we are. They know who I am, So it's just a few guys there who just like to make noise every day. And I think, power is a very powerful drug, Ali. I've told these kids, power is more powerful than any drug you're doing. It's more powerful than any flavor of shisha in Nairobi. Because the minute you have discovered that you have a power to fire a cabinet, the minute you have discovered that you can say tomorrow kuna maandamano and the entire CBD is closed, it is very powerful. You feel very powerful. But what do you do with that power? Are you still using that power to advance good things for your country? Or now you're just there, kazi yako kama sahi unanisalimia kwa nini? Why? Wow, boda unanitubia messages za ujinga kwa simu yangu ama kwa WhatsApp ama kwa Twitter. Inakufurahisha nini? There are people who are just angry and annoyed all the time. They insult people instead of actually using their newfound power. I was very proud when young people were using phone calls or phone numbers of members of parliament to tell them what to do about a specific bill. But what are you doing with those numbers now? Right now, we have been exposed to scammers. Every day, there's at least 10 people trying to scam me with fake bills of hospitals. Sijui mtoto wangu amefukuzwa shule nini. No wonder I no longer send people money. You have to come to me. You have to come to me and show me documentation that mtoto wako amefukuzwa shule. Because the trust has also been eroded. We are trying to be conned every single day.
Yeah.
So, and then there is a flip side of power, Ali. The flip side of power is responsibility. At the end of the day, if I am in power, like now I'm the senator of Nairobi, I have a responsibility to explain things to you, the decisions that I make in parliament. When you have power but you don't want that responsibility, because I was telling some of these young people that even if it is not me as Sifuna, assuming now you have chosen somebody else to be the senator of Nairobi, the responsibility falls on him to explain things. My mother, who is in the village, she's also a Kenyan. She wants to know what sort of country you want to run. What happens after this? What are your plans? Are you going to sort out the education system? How is it going to run under your administration? So we must accept that with great power comes great responsibility. And when we criticize you, it is because we are also countrymen. We're also invested in the future of this country. It cannot be that me, I have to explain, and you don't have to explain. If you are in power, you're in power. Now, the power now is no longer with us. The power is with the young people. Let them paint this picture of the country they want to live in, because at the end of the day, they have a responsibility to all the 55 million of us to explain to us the sort of country they want to build.
Okay, sawa. Number of comments coming here, calls coming in. Let me quickly read a few comments here from Facebook. And these were written up some time back. Let me see. Washeke says the movement did not turn on itself. The government used scare tactics, bribed, etc. Wanjeri says, but it was clear there were people who hijacked the movement and they were most likely getting paid to create chaos. Then Delphine says, I love this dialogue. Evans Marube says, as ODM supporters, we feel ODM turned opportunistic and hijacked Gen Z's pressure that had cornered Ruto. And then we have Greg Hazlitt. This is circular political speak. Actions speak louder than words. When Jerry says Kenyans have learned to fight with fire, we are bringing the same energy the politicians bring until one side drowns out the other, and it's a dangerous place to be. Ruth says, are there no rules, laws deterring members from joining the government without first resigning? And then Apa Habokumu says, Bona Senator, should we believe the individuals who joined Ruto did not have Raila's blessing? that this was not orchestrated by the two of them to quell the pressure. Sure thing, the pressure was easing up. Abductions, killings, extrajudicial was doing it for Ruto, but this Jamas joining the government helped him big time. And this is something I'm going to agree with Hab. You know, when those members joined the government, they gave Ruto back the power which had been taken away from him. And then Evans Marube says ODM, unlike Wiper, Jubilee and NAC, decided to muddy into Ruto's mess. And then who else do I have here? Let me see. Esther Mulusa says signing in from Shimalavandu, Kakamega County. So we have listeners all the way from Kakamega County. And then let me see. Washeke is on hold. We're coming to you, Washeke.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your patience. Then Brian Kilong says, unfortunately, after all the mess, stolen elections, death and destruction, then Raila joins hands with Ruto. Just when Gen Z were on the verge of bringing down the despotic regime, we lost faith in ODM. I speak confidently as an ODM member since 2007. Sifuna can only reclaim some relevance if he resigns and joins Kenyans. Anything short of that, we know which side he belongs to. Nancy Mirotsi says, women rep nominated people need to go. Nancy saying, Ali, the same was done to my sister-in-law Ashu in Coast.
I know Ashu.
All right, so maybe you'll tell us later what happened to her. So someone here is complaining something happened to her.
I've already explained.
And then Esther Mulusa says political parties are just run by personalities. We have the strongman syndrome. ODM is notorious of direct tickets, and I think that's something that you've already explained how ODM does it. Then Akinyo Doyo from Texas. Not what Texas, we're deep in the building, Leo. How would you engage those who feel disillusioned by the current system of governance na hawataki kuanguka nayo and are exploring alternative ways of community building? What resources or support can you offer to empower and include them, especially considering the true empowerment often stems from believing in alternative approaches? Now, Esther Mulusa again from Shimalavandu, Kakamega says, bottom line is that once Raila decrees a candidate will be elected, it happens because of the euphoria and go status given to Baba. We have a governor asleep on the job because Baba said so. Then I have here Gidraf Nganga all the way from Reading, Pennsylvania, saying Morara Kebaso is traversing the country, exposing the corruption, the inefficiency, and the incompetence in the use of billions of shillings of Kenyan taxpayers. This is the root cause of all this mayhem. Ruto government increasing taxes even as those collected are being mismanaged with abandon. It surely doesn't make sense. What is Senator Sifuna doing about all this? Judy Nyar Oyuyo says, what lasting impact has the Gen Z Mandamano had? Would consider working to mentor Kasamuel Makore, Wanjiru Wanjira, and Anita Baraza. Okay, so Apo mentorship services being offered. Esther Mulusa, what about the sidelining of Luhya candidates in ODM strongholds like Nairobi and Mombasa? Why are Luyas relegated to voters while Luos get the seats, yet Luyas give Baba more than 40% of his votes? Look at the ratios of Luo MCAs in Nairobi compared to Luyas. Hiyo ni hesabu gani? Babu Owino rides on majority Luya votes. He was handpicked by Baba at the expense of a Luya candidate. I have many more examples. So, very specific example there. Na Mary Washirapa anasema following from Seattle. Esther Mulusa anasema you skipped my long comment.
Which I think you just read.
Maybe it's the one that I read. If there's another one, Esther Mulusa, please tag me. I will. And if I've skipped your comment, feel free to tag me. I'm going to read that comment. Then Damaris Kifude says, I don't think ODM will bring the change we want. It's the same all media speeches to look like things are moving. Wanjeri from Boston says, can we please get a response to questions on Africans from the diaspora investing in Kenya? This is one thing some countries have done well. I think we're gonna go.
Let's go to the callers.
Let's go to the callers because they've been waiting for a while,
Yes.
and then like a senator has been writing down these questions.
Yes.
The ones that have been answered, but he will address the ones.
Yeah, he hasn't addressed the one for
The one for Afro-Jamaican. Yeah, so that will be addressed. So,
right.
so let's take the callers.
Let's take the caller. And before I do that, let me just read a funny comment over here coming from Stephen Okoth. Karibu Bwana SG, I appreciate the lashings you give the government folks on the morning shows. I understand they have now been instructed not to debate you. 0073, thank you for calling the One Mic Show. Name and where you're calling from.
This is Washeke calling from San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, Texas in the house. Karibu sana, Washeke.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Senator Sifuna, for gracing us this evening. So I have 3 questions, if you'll permit me. So the first question is on the Senate Bill Sport Amendment Bill of 2024 that you sponsored. The Olympics just ended, and we've seen Kenya did not medal in races that we used to dominate. So with your bill, what are you hoping to accomplish? How are you going to help develop sports in the counties, as well as address the challenges that our athletes face? My second question is related to energy costs. Energy costs in Kenya are very high, and also very unreliable. You know, we have blackouts that happen, and they affect everyday Kenyans as well as businesses, and that's why a lot of manufacturing is moving to the neighboring countries because of that. So, as a member of the Senate Energy Committee, what policies and proposals are you working on to ensure Kenyans have reliable and low-cost energy? My third question is something you've touched on tonight. You've mentioned several times the dengue bill. So recently we have seen attack on Kenya's land and food sovereignty with the introductions of several bills. Right now, farmers not being allowed to exchange indigenous seeds. And this latest one on the dengue bill. Can you elucidate further on this bill? When I read it, I really did not see what issue or problem you were trying to resolve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Next caller, and 1 minute, because of time. 1 minute each caller, and then Senator will address all those questions.
6222, name and where you're calling from. Karibu sana.
Yeah, my name is Lorenzo. I'm calling from California, Los Angeles. So to the Senator, thank you so much for speaking to people here. Mine is not about ODM or whatever is happening in Kenya, but as a Senator, I was recently in Nairobi with a group of my friends from Silicon Valley. I work in Silicon Valley, San Francisco as well. And we noticed the dire situation of Nairobi CBD, especially pathways, sidewalks for pedestrians, and the chaos that was just there. You can be hit by a car and all this kind of thing. So what are you doing as a senator to improve the face of Nairobi? Maybe even, I know you don't agree with Sakaja, and we know he's useless, but he's there now. Is there a way to find a way to improve the city image that can bring more investment, like people want to open businesses in service industry downtown that can get more jobs for the youth?
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lorenzo.
All right.
Let's go to the next caller.
7796, thank you for calling. Name and where you're calling from.
Thank you so much. This is Kevo again. And,
hey, Kevo.
I'm calling from Virginia, and mine is regarding what the senator just said. I mean, moving forward from, as you try to see now, what's next? I mean, how do we make our democracy more stronger? And I want to mention specifically on the issue of direct tickets. Now, mine is just that, do you think direct tickets sort of undermine democracy? Because I feel like once people have been the big fish in the party and they know they love direct tickets. So, for example, the women leadership who know that they will have direct tickets when it comes to the primaries. Because what we've seen recently, there is dominance in some certain areas there's regional dominance in political parties as well. And that's why you said when NIPA, for example, comes in, they will tell you, okay, don't have a candidate in this area, because they know it plays a role in who is voted in. So in the issue of direct tickets, like for example, Rift Valley, we know if William Ruto fronts you or the UDA party fronts you, then even if there is a more competent person on the side who's more likely to perform better, the masses will most likely go for the party. So I feel like party politics have overshadowed the real democracy in some parts of the region. And as we move forward, we are trying to sanitize that. Things that we were actually thinking, things like police reforms, to make sure the police, take vows to study the constitution and not certain individuals in government, so that we avoid the issues such as abductions and such. So in the same spirit, can we move that to the party so that every year there is a primary, and whoever comes first becomes the flag bearer of the party moving on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevo. And finally, 2489, name and where you're calling from. Thank you for calling the One Mic Show. Hello.
Good evening. Yes, my name is Judy Oyoyo. Hello, everybody. Senator Sifuna, thank you so much for doing this. I missed you on Saturday because I had to go for some prayers somewhere, but thank you so much for what you're doing. This is very important.
Thank you.
My question is, being that the Gen Zs are so vocal and they're so young and there are so many ideas, why can't ODM work with them? And that's what I was talking about, mentorship. Because surely there'll come a time when ODM, the current leadership, will not be able to be active in politics because of age and whatever. So why can't you, together with the leadership of ODM, mentor these Gen Zs like Samuel, Makoure, Barasa, Anita Barasa, and Wanjira, because they have so many great ideas, and so that way you can actually work with them, give them jobs, so that they see the importance of why they have to believe in what they're doing, because they really have made a difference. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll just start with Judy there. First of all, the Constitution gives everybody a right of association, that it is voluntary. You cannot force someone to join ODM. You cannot force someone to be mentored by Sifuna. In fact, if you look at some of the leading lights of the Gen Z movement, they have been very hostile to politicians,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they create this impression that we are somehow desperate for them or desperate for their support. We are not. This support should be mutual. It should be mutually you should want to be around me. I should want to be around you. Nobody is going to force these issues. And for me, really, I have never used some of the language I see some members of the movement using against political parties, using against us, using against me. For me, I want to build a national political party. Every single person is welcome to ODM. A person joining your movement can only make the movement stronger. And if you want to build anything of a sort of political movement that we need in the country, you cannot be exclusionist. You cannot say tall people cannot join ODM, or short people, or fat people, or thin people. I shouldn't use some of these words in the US.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way,
Let me take them back. You can't say that people of a certain disposition should not join my political movement, because every single person has a vote. I am the most available political leader in Kenya today. I believe any person who seeks to see me can see me. If you want to walk the journey with me, you can walk the journey with me. I put my blood and sweat in this political party to build it every time, to be able to identify talent. Like for me, I have said it is important for the good people to find each other. I have a responsibility to find these young people wherever they are. I go to places, the most remote places. We spend time with Mzee a week. We are just doing Lamu. You go to Tana River. You go to all these places to build ODM, to build the party. You have to put in the work. So I cannot close the door on anyone. I cannot. My door is open, but it is voluntary. It is you who determines whether you want to associate with me. I am not forcing anyone to associate with me or with ODM. When I said that for me my target is 150, because I set a target of 100 in the last election in the National Assembly. I didn't get there. I wanted 24 senators. If you come to my office in Nairobi, I already have a list of the counties where I believe ODM can get a senator. There are counties that we got a governor. We don't have a senator. It doesn't make sense for me. Kakamega, Kajiado, you go all the way to Tana River. I want to come back to the Senate as a Senate majority leader. I am planning, I'm thinking. I want to see these young people, these voices that can actually be mentored, because me personally, I don't feel threatened by anyone. I want us to have a better country. It doesn't have to be led by Sifuna. No. For as long as you have a good person in power, it works for all of us. Like you said, there's people who just want to go about their lives. But you can't have a government that interferes with even your ability to be able to make money, to feed your families. It affects all of us. So for me, I have an open invitation. Any single Kenyan who wants to associate with Sifuna, wants to associate with ODM, who wants to associate with a party, is free to join. By the way, there are almost 100 political parties in Kenya.
Ziko nyingi, yeah.
Ziko nyingi. Lakini
sana.
Sisi upigwa tu.
Yeah.
Sisi tu ndio upigwa mijeledi kwa kila bahali. Number 2, nimezungumzia issue ya direct tickets. Si ndio? Hiyo nilikuwa nimeshajibu.
Yeah,
na mtu ameuliza hii kitu. It's not just ati unaamka tu unapea mtu ticket, because I want to win. The party needs to win that seat. It has to be backed by science.
There's talk on the streets that they are bought.
That's what I'm telling you. Bought by whom? But me, I didn't buy mine.
There's
number
talk.
2, I'm telling you, Ali, ukweli haitabadilika kulingana na vile wewe unaamini. Whether you choose to believe me or not, this is still a bottle of water. Wewe kama unaona juice, sasa hiyo ni perception yako.
Yeah.
But I am speaking as a person who has been in this business, who has experience. I do not want to lose an election. You can't come and buy a ticket knowing very well that all you have is the money and you don't have the people on the ground. I want to win these elections. So we put in some science into this, and this science is verifiable. And it is in the evidence is in the fact that I've told you no one got a direct ticket and lost. Across the country, including places where we are not it's not at the just Luo Nyanza.
Is this including MCA seats?
No, I don't think any MCA got a direct ticket. MCAs wengi.
So it was parliament.
The competition, the competition in
MCAs, some constituencies
you have like 20 candidates. But watu walipelekwa kwa debe. So, and I want to acknowledge here that ODM, its systems, the party, is not a perfect organization. We are operating in a very challenging environment where we also lack resources to be able to do some of these things. Last election, we tried to do primaries using technology. We are the only political party who actually attempts these things, where we had replaced totally the paper ballots and people were voting on a gadget that we purchased in those areas that had primaries, and it had its own challenges.
Is it possible to allow IEBC to do these primaries? Because these primaries are like,
first of all, IEBC themselves refuse, because they say the elections, by the time you're running primaries, they're also preparing for the general elections.
Okay.
You know? Number 2, the money that they will demand from you, my friend, we don't have that sort of money to run a proper primary. I have done the math. We need anywhere close. If I am going to run, party primaries in all of the 290 constituencies, I need maybe 2 billion Kenyan shillings. I don't have that money.
Yes. Wow.
I don't have that. Just think about it. It's about logistics. For you to be able to have ballot papers, if a constituency has 10 aspirants, ballot paper inatoshana hivi. Aya, logistics za kuprint hizo ballot paper, kutransport hizo ballot paper, kuna ballot boxes, kuna security, kuna elections officials wale nahitaji kuhire security. Yani bana boss, it is a logistical nightmare for political parties. And as we speak today, the government has refused to give money to political parties. The debt that is owed by government to ODM right now, not political parties, ODM specifically is now at 10 billion Kenya shillings out of the political parties fund, because they never remit, you know. So when we talk about these challenges, it's not to make excuses, but it is to give you an understanding of the sort of environment that we're working with and how hard we are trying for some of these things to be done.